We are rolling.
Alright.
We are good. Can we hear ourselves?
I think so. Channel 2.
So, what is up, guys?
What's going on, guys? Episode 3 of Patent Pending.
Yeah, we got some official podcasting gear. It's kind of rad. Sounds a lot better, hopefully. Just trying to make it sound as good as possible and not rinky-dinky.
Yeah, I feel like I should face you as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, about our technical. We're not professionals.
Nice. Yeah. And then I was going on a tangent trying to find weird, goofy chairs.
Yeah, Mike was.
I was a little high.
I was gonna say,
get a little crazy on. Yeah, I smoke drugs sometimes. It's okay.
Put you on blast. But yeah, welcome to episode 3 of Patent Pending, a podcast by creatives.
For creatives.
And yeah.
Yeah, so how was your week, man?
My week was interesting. Pretty busy, but I got through it. My body hurts. Lugging a backpack around for 3 days.
Do you, what backpack do you have?
That one over there, which we can't see. I don't remember the name, but
nice. You should get, I was gonna say you should get something with hip straps.
Well, it does have the hip straps. I took them off forever ago, and now I don't know where I put them.
Yeah. Okay.
And but it does have like a little booby one, so at least helps.
Yeah, I find when I need to wear it for long periods of time, I actually have, I'll just say it, I have the Low Pro all-weather 450, whatever, something, Tactic, something like that.
I almost knew the name exactly. Yeah. Serial number.
But with the hip straps, it's nice because for long days, it really takes the weight up and off your back and onto your hips, which is rad.
Yeah, that's what I was realizing. I was like, dude, my shoulders are jacked. Like jacked up. Like at the end of the day, they were like as if I worked out. And so I was like, I need to alleviate and do the old hips. Yeah.
Did you shoot anything cool over the weekend? I know I saw you over at the NFL draft.
Yeah. So last week I had I had a production for Delilah. So I was on set with Made Good Co. Mike and Dave, which are rad dudes. So that was cool. We were doing some chef shots where chef was, preparing the dish, setting it up, and then presenting it. So that was cool to see. I haven't done a shoot like that where the chef is involved with the shoot. Usually it's just food or, interior.
Tell them a little bit more of that story.
Yeah.
Pretty rad.
So that was cool. Chef was rad. Chef Josh, I believe his name was, at Delilah. So shout out to him. Cool dude. And then NFL draft was in town, which was insane. Didn't have good access, unfortunately, but it was still cool to kind of see everything and be around a bunch of sports fans.
Yeah, what was your assignment?
So we were basically, I was with Angelo. So shout out to Angelo. He works for Vegas.
Who? Yep.
He's in-house for Vegas now, so super cool dude to work with. We just kind of clicked. So we were basically shooting video was primary, and we were just basically doing social coverage. And then we were also shooting some assets for future for them to have. But we were just kind of recapping.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what are they a magazine or they're just like an online?
So it's the Las Vegas
thing?
Convention and Authority. So it's literally the city of Las Vegas.
Sick.
So anything happening.
Anything hustling and bustling.
Yeah.
They want to know about it.
Slanging and banging.
Slanging and banging.
So that was cool. That was 3 days. And then I had elopements, weddings, Saturday, Sunday, today, and tomorrow. No, today's the last one.
Nice.
But yeah.
Rad.
What was your last week like?
Well, I was shooting the Valdez versus Stevenson fight at MGM. I did that for Mr. Al Powers. That's what's pretty rad about these really busy weekends is that that opens up some of his sports stuff to me very graciously. I'm very thankful for that. So if he's booked doing something else, then I get to shoot that stuff. Or, I mean, not me all the time, but his team in general.
Right.
So that was really rad. Boxing is very hard to shoot. It's all about anticipation. So I think that was like my 4th or 5th fight night. And then probably only like my 35th or 37th fight. Because there was 9 fights that night that I shot. Yeah.
Nice.
So And then I've done one MMA night. But yeah, it's super hard. And then since I'm not very tall, I'm not very gifted in the height department. When you're on the apron, I'm basically just eating the apron into my lower rib cage for 8 hours. So like my rib cage is pretty bruised, and then like my legs are sore, and my like right knee is like all tight for some reason. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It was such a good time. And then yesterday I worked with Al again. I got to PA with him, production assistant with him for the Las Vegas Aces. So that's the WNBA team here in town. So they did their media day, and then we did a big photo shoot.
What's their media day like?
So ironically, there was 3 photo shoots they were involved in. It was one for the Aces, which is Al, and then they had 2 for Getty. One was with David J. Becker and Jeff Batari.
Shout out to Jeff Batari, good dude.
Yeah, and David too. Those guys. I mean, basically, I just hung out with them all day and got to pick their brain, and just for some reason they're just so sweet, and like they're such an open book, and like I'm so grateful to be able to hang out with them. They were giving me just advice about all kinds of different things. So I just opened an LLC, and they were telling me that I need to switch it to an S Corp so I could write more stuff off. So I'm learning all that stuff, and they're telling me I should buy a big truck over 6,000 pounds so I could write off the first $25,000 of it. All stuff I know nothing about that I'm trying to learn.
Try not to hold the mic, because I think it's going to pick up you holding it.
Nice.
So it'll be all...
Okay, cool.
I think so, yeah.
Sweet.
So we'll just have to like do nothing with our hands.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, we'll try our best. Still learning.
We could play it back and see. We could also cut it.
It's all good.
Because we're editors.
Yeah, but getting to hang out with them was super cool. I'm very grateful for that. And then the fact that like even those 3 guys like want to try to give me work and stuff is just...
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably the 3 best sports photographers in Nevada. And like obviously very high up there in like the US, I think.
Yeah, I mean, their work speaks for themselves. They all shoot for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Jeff Batari shoots for UFC. So yeah, easily all 3 workflows, resumes speak for themselves. And that's cool that they're all cool dudes. Obviously I've met Al and worked with him, and Jeff Batari's gotten me plenty of work as well. David, I haven't ran into yet, but yeah, definitely awesome dudes, nice dudes. And I can't say anything bad about the 2 of them. Like I said, I'm sure David's great.
I think you told me that Jeff let you borrow a lens too one time.
Yeah, Jeff let me borrow a lens one time. It was I think it was the 100 to 400, which I didn't even end up needing it for the shoot I was doing, but he brought it by, and he actually is the one who linked me up with.
And he brought it by.
Yeah, he brought it by my house.
Wild.
I know.
That speaks for itself.
Yeah, and he was also the one who got me linked up with Alexander Volkanovski.
Yep.
UFC featherweight
champion.
Yeah. So
I don't think he's gonna lose that title.
I can't say anything bad about the guy.
Right on.
Shout out to our
not sponsor, but
our non-drink sponsor. But I feel like you can't do a podcast without without a little bit of Liquid Death and our fancy podcast mics. So
trying to be official, just hopping on the bandwagon.
We're trying to be professional. As I once said, we're not professionals. So
nice. So you thinking about anything? Any topics you got in mind?
Oh, yeah. Let me bring this back so we can hear. Yeah, I wanted to ask, last minute gigs, do you get those? And what are the pros and cons with last minute gigs?
So I wouldn't be where I am now without accepting last minute gigs. I used to get hit up day of, hour of, night of for last minute gigs. And I felt that earlier in my career, I didn't have a choice but to say yes. I felt that, even if I was, out doing stuff, I'm like, fuck, like I know it's going to be beneficial in the long run if I say yes to this, even if it's not for the greatest amount of money. But at that point in my career, 5-6 years ago when I was still super fresh, it wasn't about the money. It was about going and doing it and making those connections. And yes, it was actually about the money back then, but it was, because, it was so little for some stuff. But basically what I'm getting at is if I didn't say yes to those last minute gigs, I wouldn't have made the connections that have then prospered into, where I'm at today. I showed up last minute, got the jobs done, did good. And then I built a good rapport with that client or that person who hired me for that gig. And then, it's just, it's treated me really well, and I'm really grateful that I chose to take those gigs. I don't take them as frequently now. It just depends on the gig.
Right.
But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I've same thing. I've plenty of last minute gigs. I still do them, not all the time. That's why anytime someone asks my schedule, hey, what's this month or what's this week? And I'm like, right now it's wide open on Monday, but I luckily, knock on wood, by Sunday, I've been swamped. So a lot of things come last minute, or a lot of things come from referral. Somebody can't do it. I found it's been more beneficial to say yes to the last minute gigs than it has been to say no. I have been turning down a little bit more, like you said, as of recently, as I'm just too busy, and certain things I just can't swing.
And
I just can't swing it.
It's also probably not beneficial. Some things.
Some things are not beneficial, but for example, I got hit up to do an event. It was like less than 24 hours, and it was a client that I haven't worked with before. And so I said yes, because again, those little things really go a long way for that new person, because they're going to speak highly of you if your work's great. You come in clutch for them. And then in this case, they are representing the person I shot for. So that probably makes them look good that they were able to say, hey, you need a photographer for this event. Let me find somebody.
It literally just alley-oops you into going above and beyond without even going above and beyond. Like if you're saving a client in a pinch and you haven't worked with them, they're going to be so inclined to want to work with you again. Yeah. Like, dude, you saved my ass. Thank you so much. Of course I'm going to hit you up next time.
Yeah. And we were talking about it before. I think we were talking about it before. If you're easy to work with, and you get along and things like that, yeah, obviously the work's got to back it up. But like first and foremost, if you are easy to get along with, people will remember that first.
Oh, absolutely.
Before this work or this and that.
And especially too, sometimes, I think people in marketing and stuff, obviously they want great work for sure. But I think their eye will never be as keen as our eye to how good work actually is. So in our brains, it's probably like, well, my work's way better than that person's work. Like, I wonder why they're using them. But in their eyes, it's like, oh, well, they're all great photos, but this person's just wonderful to work with.
Yeah.
Or I've known this person for 10 years and they're my homie.
I want to give them work.
There's always, I feel like clients too, and especially, I'm sure this goes everywhere, not just for Las Vegas. People will always hire their friend, I think, over whose work somebody's work is better. Does that make sense?
Could be, yeah.
For the most part, yeah. I found like obviously they're always going to hire like somebody they're close with if they're close with a photographer, even if the work's not like top tier. But so their friend, it's like, what are they not going to hire their friend?
Yeah,
that's been my experience at least.
Yeah, and then another thing with last minute gigs, I don't know if it's been like this for you, but every time I get a gig from Instagram, let's say, a DM versus an actual email, I usually never get the DM. I don't know what it is. There's some correlation with like a last minute gig and Instagram DM. Like, I don't know if it's that they're impulse or they are just window shopping. So whoever has the cheapest price.
That's a great analogy. Window shopping. Essentially that's what it is. I probably get, 30-40% of my DMs will actually transpire into money.
That's really good. Mine is like 2.
And then it's not even necessarily like a lot of cold calls. It'll be like, hey, my buddy. Okay, for instance, I do a lot of local DJs, like press kits, headshots.
Gotcha.
So they're like, hey, my buddy such and such said I should hit you up about this. And then what I try to do always is then I try to remove it from Instagram. If anybody listening, I'm sure you know I am the worst DMer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of us
because the thing about the DMs is like, okay, your story replies and your DMs all go into the same inbox. So I'll have a couple DMs and then I post a story that gets a lot of engagement and then it's gone. I have to scroll 4 times to get down to it and then I just forget about it.
Yeah.
So it sucks and I'm really sorry, but I try to always remove it from Instagram and then put it into text message form.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I try to always go email. For me, it's so easy to see organized because, again, my email is literally all work-based. So it's easier to just go email, who's this, what's this, versus, the DMs get lost. It's also, you're talking to people personally. It's just a mess. And so, yeah, but
I think that's a great tip. Maybe I'll start throwing it in an email opposed to text messages, because I'm pretty bad at replying to text messages as well.
Text for me is tough because, again, if like I don't need to save it, then I don't. And then it's just a number. And yeah, you're like, shit, who is this?
Yeah.
So for me, again, it kind of tells me all the information I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, DMs are good. I feel like, and then also too, what I find if I meet somebody out in the field, I actually, okay, if it's like somebody who I'm working with, obviously I'll give them my number. But if it's someone random, like, hey, I actually need photos. Like, it's funny that I ran into you. I'm like, oh yeah, dude, get me on Instagram. Or if I take a photo of somebody and they say, hey, can you send me that photo? What I do is I say, yeah, get me on Instagram. Because then I get another follower.
There you go.
And then I can give them through I can send it to them through Instagram. So then I get another follower, and then they recognize my work.
They can kind of take a look.
And then it's just not a random phone number in my cell phone that I don't even save.
Yeah.
That's my strategy with that. And then it's pumping my numbers up, and then it's getting more interaction, more natural interaction with my content.
Yeah, that's genius. I try to do that. I come across that situation a lot, like in the clubs of people, oh, how do I get this photo? Or what's your Instagram, this and that? And for me, it's so tough to take a few seconds away to be like, here, pull up my Instagram and see it, because then there's no service. But yeah, obviously I should capitalize on every little moment. I tend not to, but it's just tough in that moment. Like, I also don't want to look like I'm on my phone with somebody. It's like I am there to work. So
yeah, I mean, the cell phone thing, I get, because that's where it comes down to professionalism. But as far as in the club, I mean, some clubs allow the security guards and waitresses to like be on their phone.
Yeah.
So it's like,
oh, speaking of that Instagram thing, so I was shooting the NFL draft last week, and I'm doing video, and this guy walks by and is like, hey, are you local? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, I'm a DJ. I play a lot downtown. What are your rates? And it's funny because we just talked about this. Yeah. So, and I'm also literally in the middle of a video. So I'm fully locked into the like work mode, and I'm just like, what? Like, I don't know, dude, like shoot me an email or something. Like, come on, guy.
Yeah.
And then he goes, oh, here's my card, yada, yada. We play downtown. Maybe we could, this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, you haven't seen my work. I could suck. Mm-hmm. But it's like a weird concept to be in person to like see, like, oh, I see you doing it. Let's you know what I mean? Let's work. And it's like, at least take a look at my work before you just see me on the street. I
think, maybe that will transpire into him be like, oh, would you mind if I could see your work?
But he didn't ask anything about me.
For sure.
He handed me a card for his DJ name or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
I feel like, those are, and then maybe it's somebody who's just now recently getting the opportunity to DJ downtown, and he sees a videographer, he's like, oh, I want that,
Yeah.
And that's another situation where then I direct them, opposed to email, I direct them to my Instagram, and then I will give them my email, or they can email me off my Instagram, and then I gain a follower. And then if it doesn't transpire to anything, then at least I get another follower who will engage in my content.
Right. So yeah, I wanted to kind of break down some past clients or ways to make money as a photographer and videographer. And I used to shoot for things like Thumbtack, things like Snapper, SNAPPR, and then Shutterstock Custom. And what those shoots entailed, or like if you're in a city like Vegas, obviously, and people are just on the internet, Google, hey, Las Vegas photographer, boom, Snapper pops up, Thumbtack pops up. They're kind of like a Craigslist. Or what is that, Angie's List?
Yeah, just like a job board almost.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're a job board.
Or white pages.
They don't pay shit. But if you're starting out or you're already have a job and you want to kind of segue into making an income in photography, check those out. You make a little profile, you throw up some of your work, and then obviously the more work you do, the reviews you get, more people see it on those specific sites. And they're a good way to shoot different things and make some money. And
yeah, you know what? I actually got hired by a company called Shoot.
Okay.
With TwoTs. It's so kind of the same thing, but it's more of a nationwide thing, and they have a team of photographers in each city. And what they do is they have a team, and then they just do a bunch of marketing, and it says, hey, free photo shoot, free 30-minute photo shoot.
Oh, interesting.
And the photo shoots are free, but then you have to buy the images. So then you go on their website and you're like, oh, I'm in Las Vegas and this is my availability. And then they'll try to link you with a photographer. And then basically their breakdown is you get $50 an hour at least at the minimum. But then if they buy more photos and it's more than $50 an hour, you get paid that.
Okay.
So, or it's $100 an hour, 50 for 30 minutes. I worked with them for, maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
I did it. I scrambled and was like a friend of mine, Claire, she recommended them, and then it was during the pandemic. So I was like on the tail end of it. So I was like, oh, maybe, pick up some extra work here and there. They're cool. It just wasn't really, gratefully, I don't necessarily need it anymore.
Right.
And also it wasn't my jam. It's mostly just family portraits.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's definitely like a more on the entry level side of things, because like I said, the pay is not great, and it's a mixed bag of nuts you get. You know what I mean? You don't know who's gonna show up. But I did find if you are kind of aiming for two categories, like family shoots and things like sports, like soccer games, baseball games, snapper, thumbtack. Those two were great for things of that nature. Like I said, you're in Vegas for the weekend, or your daughter's in cheer, and we need a photographer in the city. Boom, there you go. Pretty easy, hassle-free. The Shutterstock Custom, so it wasn't Shutterstock, it was Shutterstock Custom, and they were more lifestyle. So, for example, they'd have, a shoot for like body armor drink, and so you'd have to like coordinate. We want 4 models. They're hanging out at the park, drinking this and that. So
they just send random emails, and then you have to like.
Yeah, it was like one of those where it's like, here's the assignment, and here's the rate that we have allocated,
and then you have to like
apply for it,
dude.
Yeah,
I'm actually on that, but it's on an old email. So it was cool that I'm on the email. So, but I just never ended up doing gigs with them.
Right.
But some of them actually pay pretty decent.
Some of those started to, but the thing that I found, the reason why I stopped doing the Shutterstock Custom ones, for example, was because you have to wear a lot of hats. Like I said, they send you the brief of exactly what type of models, what they're looking for. This is the shot list, yada, yada, yada. And like I said, some of the shoots were like, we need a family. We want a boy, a girl, and they need to look diverse, mixed race, and they need to have like a pool in their backyard, like all these crazy things. And you're like, dude, I'm just trying to take the photo. Like, I can't coordinate with this people. And again, set up props and have a nice house. So it eventually just got way too much. And then when you're looking at like this campaign that would be for like Nike, for example, it's like, dude, Nike would pay way more than $1,000 for this campaign, and I'm doing everything. Like, I'm creative director, like no.
So did you find it was helpful though at the early stage of your career?
It was definitely helpful because, like I said, it teaches you it does teach you to kind of think about these things of like have a little bit more hands-on of like what is this family or these 4 models gonna wear? What is this scene? This shoot is for hiking backpacks, and they want a hiking, so you get to like set it up, in a forest. So things of that, like I definitely did take with me until I got to a point where I didn't need to. But
it's just one of those things like you're allowing yourself to be in an uncomfortable situation where you have to sink or swim, which is so beneficial.
But I just wanted to briefly touch on that for those of you listening. And I know we talk about clients and things like that. And
maybe a good starting point for somebody.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be too vague of like, well, how do I get clients? Well, there's 3 sources. And
yeah,
I'm sure
there's Shoot. It's SHOOTT. And then you mentioned Snapper,
Thumbtack.
And
then Shutterstock Custom was the one, like I said, a little bit more hands-on. So
yeah, and it's I think those are great outlets to start at. And then the cool thing too about Shoot was, I don't know if they said it directly, but this is what I did with it. I would meet the client, give them my Instagram, and then because they're all local, I'm like, hey, next time you need photos, let me know and just hit me up directly.
Yep, that was another thing. Yeah, if they lived here, try to branch off of that, and then next time you could get, say, 100% of your cut. Oh, because that's also another thing. If you weren't aware, they do take a cut. Yeah. All of these platforms take a cut. Yeah, because obviously they're doing a lot of the legwork for you about coordination. But the idea was, to get outside of that, get that client directly, and make.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that they're doing all the legwork. They're doing all the marketing. They're doing all this. They're doing all that. And you know what? I've learned I have some close friends of mine who enjoyed not having to do legwork, and they just like to,
Show up and shoot.
which is, super rad. And like, you know, um, I think you and I are both the same. I'd rather put in the extra legwork, and then, I think in the long run that is more beneficial.
Yeah, but definitely all good building blocks,
stepping stones. Exactly. Yeah, and then even too, if you're like a photographer and maybe you have a real job, not a real job, but maybe you have a job that you wouldn't necessarily want to have. So maybe you work at Albertsons doing this and that. Another good outlet too to jump into, which I did when I was 20, I applied at a wedding chapel here in town. That's a good opportunity to be able to make a living holding a camera. And then as long as you're trying to make clients outside of that, and then eventually you could hopefully blossom from that into a full-time freelancer.
Right.
Full-time hustler.
Hustler, baby. Yeah, those are good building blocks. I remember you mentioned that on episode 1.
Yeah.
That's shooting for that, and I think that there's definitely some fundamentals you can pull from that for sure.
I honed in my skills because the wedding chapels would be inside, and then it was Chapel of the Flowers. They were actually a really cool company to work for. So if anybody's out there, I think that's a good place to start. And they're at the higher end of the wedding chapels in town. But you'd basically they'd have like 4 or 5 different chapels on property.
Mm-hmm.
You go in there, obviously it all is price dependent. So then they would pick the chapel they want to get married at. And then the ceremony would be like 10, 15 minutes. And then you'd go outside and they had different places around the property where you could pose them. So like a little archway with a waterfall, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So going in from outside or going from inside to outside to inside, you're constantly changing your exposure. And then I really honed in my skills, I think, as a photographer. And then that, I think, if it wasn't for that job, I wouldn't be as good as I am now as a low light photographer, music photographer, concerts.
Right.
And then being able to change my exposure on the fly. And it's just second nature to me now. And like, I was fortunate enough to get a job to where I could get paid to practice, basically. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So you had mentioned you were PA for Al Powers.
Yeah, so I was PAing with him, and he's the type of guy too that you can ask him anything, and he'll just be an open book to you, and I really enjoy that, and I want to be like that as well.
Right.
So, Sean and I were talking off camera, and then I mentioned how a friend of mine, sometimes I'll post my lighting diagrams like Al does. I'm basically just trying to follow in his footsteps, but like if you post your lighting diagram, I had a friend of mine who was like, "Oh, dude, maybe you shouldn't do that because then people are gonna like steal your lighting diagram." And I don't look at it as stealing. I want to like give that information out and teach people how to do it. Mm-hmm. And then when you do that too, in turn, it forces you to be better.
Yeah, because then if that's the case, if you're gonna post your lighting setup for a particular shoot, and then the next time I'm on a shoot like that and I try to replicate it, doesn't that force you to then be ahead of the curve, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure.
Force you to like challenge yourself.
Yeah, and I could see why people would be like, "Oh, maybe you don't want to like give away your secrets, divulge your secrets." But I think it's more beneficial to me personally if I just and especially if somebody asks, like I'm going to tell them how to do it.
Right.
For instance, you just mentioned Angelo.
Yeah.
Angelo, a few months ago, we were talking about food photography, and I literally wrote a lighting diagram on a piece of paper and sent it to him.
Right.
I sent a picture of it to him to help him out. And it's like, I don't take like, I just want to help people. And I think too, in the long run, helping people and showing people the way is more beneficial to me. Because then those people that you help, if they need something in the future, they'll come back to me. And hey, even if somebody wants to be malicious and like directly use my lighting diagram and use my lighting style and make their images look like mine, then that just forces me to be better,
Yeah, I mean, there's a photographer by the name of Nick Francher who he specializes in studio and creative lighting. I'll show you his after. But same thing, he has workshops based around his lighting techniques and what he uses. So it's like, obviously people are going to replicate it, but like there is still like value in him showing you, because you could try to replicate it, but there's still only one, Nick Francher.
Exactly.
And I hope I'm not butchering the last name. I think it's Francher. But yeah, I'll show you his work. It's sick.
Yeah, and it's like maybe ignorance is bliss, for me. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I let people do it,
Yeah, because somebody could do the exact same lighting setup and have complete different result. It's not like they're gonna.
Exactly. Yeah. And then too, yeah, yeah, I have a confidence in my work, and yeah, I feel good, giving people information and knowledge, like, because people did that to me. For instance, like when I was with Al, like you have Jeff and David, who are these dudes that are just a fully open book, so kind and so sweet. I can't say thank you enough to those guys, but they're just telling me all this stuff. And it's just like, I want to be that to like I want to be that to people like they were to me.
Now, how did you meet like Al?
So I met Al through my good friend Brenton. Brenton is another very talented local photographer. He actually, I've known Brenton for probably since I was 20, so almost 10 years. But he actually linked me up with Tony too. He was one of the guys who linked me up with Tony.
Oh shit.
And then he linked me up with Al, and then Brenton's like an OG Vegas photographer. Yeah, that's how I got linked up with Al. I think I covered a concert for him something like in 2017.
Oh, so did you know Al for like a few years or a while before you actually shot for him, or was it like pretty instant?
We knew of each other, I think. Oh, you know what? I lied. Yes, we knew of each other, I think. And then he actually caught me one time at Marquee. It was a really big night, and then we were both there shooting. And then I jumped from like this ledge to another ledge, and he was on the other ledge, and he
like you physically jumped?
Yeah, no, and he like caught my arm. He's like, "Oh yeah, come, I got you." And then I think we just kind of said what's up to each other. And then he booked me for like a concert in like 2017, and I think I did like 2 or 3 things for him before the pandemic. And then now I'm starting to do more and more.
You know what that scene reminded me of when you said you jumped and like caught your arm?
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was an Instagram filter or Snapchat, but you remember the heart one where it's like with the music?
Yeah.
I just picture that in my head of like you jumping and then he's like, I got you. And you're like, thanks.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. And then, yeah, that's a cool thing too about Al is that like, he works so much. So like he's the type of guy too that's like, I'm just gonna try to do everything I can, which I respect because I feel the same way. We were talking about that yesterday on the shoot, but
yeah, I ran into him at because he shoots in house for T-Mobile, and I was shooting Dua Lipa a few weeks ago, and we were talking about something, and he was like, "Work your ass off now, that way later on you don't have to." And I was like, "Oh,"
which is funny though because Al is still working. Well, maybe he means that in.
He means to work like in that sense of he's like I said, he has big clients. He's huge and he's shooting for ESPN, T-Mobile, Golden Knights. So yeah, he could obviously not shoot every single day as much as he does, but he still chooses to. And I think that's what he's saying. Like, work your ass off now. That way later on you don't have to. Because I'm sure when he's 50, he wants to coast a little bit or chill or maybe hire people out or he's not physically shooting anymore. And
I don't know what to do when I'm not shooting. So, but I'm sure, it's a great point.
But yeah, speaking of that, like about like connections and things like that, somebody had reached out to me on Instagram the other day. I had posted a behind the scenes of obviously one of my shoots, and they had reached out and said, how are you getting some of these gigs? How are you getting some of these clients? And it kind of, I guess he's a real estate photographer here in town, and he's trying to break out of that real estate mold. And it really dawned on me. I'm like, dude, some of these connections that I've been shooting for recently have taken years to come to fruition. Like, I've known people in marketing at MGM for years. And up until a couple months ago, I finally, got the opportunity to shoot to shoot directly for them. So, certain things are not overnight. It's not like somebody sees me or meets me. It's like, oh, your work is so great, I'm gonna hire you. Yeah. It's like I've known people for 2-3 years before I actually get that physical chance to shoot for them.
Yeah, no, me too. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I think to go back onto that question that gentleman asked you on Instagram, how I get 90% of my work is just word to mouth. Is just by crushing it on a shoot. I had a client, and he's like a marketing speaker, so he gets hired to like do like marketing speeches for these teams and stuff. But long story short, the saying, what is it, ABS or ABC, always be closing. He said it should be ABS, always be smiling.
Oh.
So when I'm on like gigs, I'm always trying to smile, be cool, be like happy-go-lucky, make the work great and be easy to work with. And that's how these clients, and yeah, for instance, maybe I'll meet somebody on a shoot. Maybe I'll meet somebody on a shoot when I'm being hired by somebody else, but then I'll make a good connection with that person. And then, yeah, like a year later, they'll be like, oh, yeah, that kid Mike that I met. Now I actually need a photographer. Now I can actually hire him. Because I remember he was super cool and I heard his work's good and he was just cool to be around.
Yeah. I mean, like, you never know who, like, where these things will lead. Like, for example, I shot this dude, Drew, had a clothing company 5 years ago, like when I first moved to Vegas 6 years ago, and I shot for his clothing company. Fast forward to right now, he is now art director for a video production company, and they're shooting at things like Win, and Win is one of their clients. So again, things like that, where it's like I shot for him 5 years ago, and then now has this company, and he thought of me and reached out to me, and now here we are shooting. And so again, it's like one of those things where, dude, I haven't heard from him for years, and then all of a sudden pops up, and now, like I said, I'm on a shoot and I'm assisting or sometimes still photography at Win.
You know what? Here's a great point. I met this guy, Justin, who I met him through the old graphic designer for Hakkasan Group, Lauder. He also does work with this other guy named Justin. And then Justin is the announcer for this amateur MMA league here in town called Tough Enough. But then he also works with some other people who were doing this other program called Wimp to Warrior. It's like a training program.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so long story short, Lauder linked me up with him to do this Wimp to Warrior thing. And then he was like, dude, like your work's so good. And like it was during COVID and like the budgets were pretty tight. So, you know, I was just like, yeah, man, I got you. Like we worked together. So on the pricing and that type of thing. And I didn't think anything of it. And he's like, yeah, man, he's like, I would love to like use you to shoot the fights and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. And then I didn't hear anything from him. And then, you know, a year and a half later, and he's like, hey dude, like the fights are coming up. Like I would love for you to come. Sends me this like really heartfelt message. I'm like, oh, like that's something I never thought that would, you know, it was somebody I just met and I didn't think it was going to necessarily come to fruition. And then he was just impressed with me on the shoot and my work. And he's like, no, I want to use you. And then now I'm starting to shoot with them.
Right.
Which is super awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then it's crazy too, because I shoot music. But, you know, 2 years ago, I was like, oh, I really want to shoot sports. And I kind of just tell people that. And I kind of like put it out into the universe and sounds super lame.
I think it works.
It kind of works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this same thing. I've been telling myself that too. Yeah, I want to shoot more MMA fighters, and then next thing you know, I get an opportunity to shoot with
Now you have too many MMA fighters to where you have to give some to me.
Yeah, so it's crazy the things that you kind of speak and go for, and it's not even the same. Not even just with me. I've seen other people because Coachella was 2 weeks ago. That was a huge event, obviously. And I've seen so many photographers that I follow say that same thing of like, I remember, 2, 3, so on years ago, one day I want to shoot for Coachella. And here they are, they're shooting for Coachella and they're like, dude, this is sick. Like speak it and achieve it. Like it's kind of like having a goal, right? Like if you have a goal, put yourself in that position to then achieve that goal. Like I remember looking at one of my notes recently, on one of my notepads, and it said like March, start the podcast. Here we are, start a podcast.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
So yeah,
anyway. And it's crazy too, because I've wanted to start a podcast for me and my buddies. We used to talk about it like 10 years ago, doing a podcast, because we'd all just be, underage drinking in my buddy Jordan's bedroom. And we're like, oh dude, we should just do this, but on a podcast.
Right.
It'd be so fun.
Record it.
Yeah, and then unfortunately it never came to fruition. And then when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, maybe this will be cool. So, yeah, man, super grateful. Yeah, then, I mean, I think the same thing goes too for, like I said on a couple episodes ago, is how if you have a day job but you're a photographer, don't refer to yourself when someone says, hey, what do you do for a living? Don't say, oh, I work at American Eagle, but I'm also a photographer. Say, hey, I'm a photographer. And I make some money on that, but I also work at American Eagle. That's speaking it into the universe, and that's speaking and hopefully making that into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, it also, it's another thing is, for some reason, human nature in our brains, when you say things like that, like, I work at American Eagle, but I also do photos, you now put it in my head that second thing isn't your main thing. So it's like, yeah, you kind of do photos. So am I going to take you seriously? Probably not. But if you then presented me same exact scenario, I haven't actually seen your work or anything, but hey, yeah, I'm a photographer. Oh shit, cool. Like this is all you do? Yeah. I'm a photographer.
That's, yeah. I'm sorry if I'm going on a rant, but I just went to the eye doctor the other day, and he's like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a photographer." He's like, "Oh, yeah, but how do you make your money?" He's like, "No, I only make money off photography." And he was so impressed, and he was so sweet, and he was like, taking me around the office, like, "Oh yeah, so this is Mike. He needs a new prescription, and he's a photographer, and da 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 da." And it's just like, it's so rad,
Did he think you like only shot like landscape or cactuses?
No,
and he's like, "How do you make?
Yeah,
how do you make money, sir?"
He was like in his 50s, but I think he was just like, he was. It was weird. It was. I felt him being proud of me.
Well, that's awesome.
Being able to make a living of it. I don't even know the guy.
Right.
It was crazy. I think he's just like an endearing older guy. He was like, "Dude, like, you're following your dreams.
Taking
That's so
photos.
fucking cool."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because he probably grew up in a different era where I mean, he's an optometrist. He's not.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, because it's like a career. Like, I guess probably the first thing that he thinks is like, yeah, unless you're doing like photojournalism or like taking pictures of celebrities like paparazzi, then like, how do you make money? I don't.
Well, that's another thing too. Is people are like, "Oh, you're a photographer. Like, who do you work for?" And I'm like, "Well, fortunately, like, I have clients, but fortunately, like, I'm self-employed." And then people are like, "Oh, wow." And it's like, I gotta like remember, to like, step back and just really like tell myself, "Hey, good job, man. Like, you're doing a good job."
Daily
Affirmation.
affirmations.
Yeah, that's something I need to get better at, I think.
Yeah, I don't.
Because normally I just tell myself I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't do that, but no, I mean I don't do the affirmations either. But it is
so you also tell yourself you're a piece of shit?
I don't. I just have. I think we talked about it before, but I do have that like the influx of the creative brain of just like it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad, it's shit. I hate it, love it, hate it. Fuck. Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not bad. So I go through that of emotions of that. Speaking of podcast, I was writing down notes earlier. I really want to start to put more into like YouTube. I want to like diversify income. I've been reading that a lot and hearing it. And luckily, I think you're the same way. We're in a position where we have a lot of clients coming our way. We're not seeking out necessarily. We're not cold calling, as you mentioned. But again, like I want to be ahead of the curve and diversify my income.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do moving forward, the next couple episodes, we want to start our own YouTube channel for the podcast.
Yeah.
And then figure out some way of monetizing it to diversify our revenue streams. There's a podcast that I really love called Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. And what they do is...
Secret podcast.
Yeah, it's cool. Their first hour is free. And then the second hour they put on Patreon. And their Patreon's like $3 a month. And then they do a podcast a week. So you get half the content free and the other half you get on the Patreon. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that... And then the only other thing that I have is crypto. I don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
Investing. For a while I pumped... I was just kind of using it as a like long-term savings account, Yeah. I pumped a few grand in there. And it fluctuates, but it's basically just sitting at like what it was before. But my idea with that was I want to buy another house in 2024. So I was going to let that kind of grow and then have that as my down payment for a house.
There you go. Buy another house here in town or elsewhere?
Well, no, here in town. I inherited the house that I own now. So I didn't like fully buy it. But my girlfriend and I want to buy another house.
For yourself or
for ourselves. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the house that I'm in currently is my brother's and mine. So all three of us live there. So then he could stay there. Then I can get a house for us.
Oh, gotcha.
And then, we were even, maybe in our 40s or 50s could buy a house in like Lake Tahoe or something, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I think real estate is like one of the best investments you could do. I think
that's what Yvonne and I always hear and talk about, and shit. I mean, we still haven't done it, but yeah, that's on the overall game plan.
Wait, do you guys have this house?
Yeah.
Well, that's their number one.
But we're thinking about buying a second one just to rent it out, like landlords or whatever, or Airbnb, whatever that may be, and just again have like that as like strictly investment property.
Yeah. But I think you mean too. I wonder how else we could diversify our revenue for the now. That's more long term, probably.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna sell the house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why, YouTube, because I have ideas, I just need to execute them. Like, I think most people started a YouTube in 2020. Like filming themselves like I'm not a tip guy, so I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't be like a gear review or like a tip guy. I'd more so want to just probably film like vlogs and then
well, I mean, if we build a nice following with this podcast, we could piggyback off this.
Yeah, because I want to do film vlogs, like 35mm film, especially here in town.
That'd be sick.
And then one day get a film sponsor because that shit is expensive and I'm tired. Oh, we lost a light.
No, we added a light.
No, your blue light went out.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, let's just roll without it. We'll be okay.
Yeah. You want to start with your tech rec?
Sure. Yeah. I learned this from Al Powers, just sports photographers in general. Is when you don't have it like a workspace, especially when you're on site and you need to dump footage or dump photos or do on-site edits real quick, is I noticed the sports photographers, they have a case on their laptop and then they Velcro their card reader to the case.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So then, for instance, like when I'm shooting on the apron for boxing, you're sitting on a little bench, so you don't really have anywhere to put your laptop. So then you can kind of just go boom with the card, do your thing off of your lap, dump in between fights, and then shoot the next fight, which is pretty rad. And then I have 2 different areas. This is for my other card reader because my 1DX and my R3 don't use the same card, so I have to have 2 card readers.
Thanks, Canon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now I'm just such a psycho. I'm like, oh, well, now I should get another. I should get another R3.
The 1DX it's the CF Express, right?
No, CFast 2.0, and then the R3 is the CFast Type B.
Oh Jesus,
Something like that. Yeah.
They can't make it easy, can they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just new technology. The CF Express is kind of old. It's like 6 years old, but now everybody uses the. Yeah, the new cards. What about you? What's your recommendation?
My tech rec. Where are we at here? My tech rec. Oh, let me bring this. I gotta figure out where this goes. My tech rec this week is a memory card case, hard case, double-sided. This one has all my SD cards. They obviously make ones for QXD or XQD, CF Express, yada yada, which I just throw my XQDs on top. And then I also have it where for identification, if it's flipped backwards, it means I haven't dumped it yet. So it's a reminder to not format it and erase it yet. So yeah, I picked this one up at BNC. You could find these anywhere.
Nice. And I think that's waterproof, right? Or water resistant at least.
And it looks like it has a seal for it.
Nice.
Yeah, in case you are fishing and shooting photos.
Yeah. Nice. You want to skip a stone?
If you want to.
Yeah. Oh, and then my chill rec.
What's the chill
for the
rec?
week would be the show called What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
It's on Hulu. It's on
Okay.
FX, but it's on Hulu. It's like a mockumentary series about vampires living in current day. It's fucking hilarious.
Is it a comedy?
Yeah, it's so funny, dude.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, no, it's not serious. It's like super funny. So if you just want to like, get a little stoned and just relax at the end of the day, it's a great, easy watch. Highly recommend it. What about you, Sean?
Sounded very like interviewee with the over to you.
Over to you, Sean. How's the weather?
Chill rec. we're going to go a little different this time. I recommend Yvonne and I like to try to do massages at least once a month. It's kind of datey, but also just to help with the body, get a massage. So that's my chill rec. I don't think it gets more chiller than a massage.
Well, to piggyback off of that, is there any spots you'd like to recommend that you guys
we go down the street. It's on Sunset, called Ocean Reflexology.
Nice.
They have like a little stamp card.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, after like the 9 or whatever, you get like a free one, which is.
So could I ask, do you guys do the couples thing or do you do separate?
We do the couples.
Okay.
But it's basically just us next to each other.
Yeah, because I just got my first massage.
Dude, they're nice.
Yeah, my girl, for her birthday, we went to Red Rock and did that. And Red Rock is a little pricey, but you get a 20% discount as a local.
Dude, it's so nice. And then, so to piggyback off that, we've been to the Green Valley one before at Green Valley Ranch. Oh, that is a spa.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's nice. They have like, from what I remember, it's like, I think you're in the steam room first for a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in like literally a private room with you and your partner. And yeah, they're great.
Yeah, maybe I'll check that one out.
Yeah,
next.
Green Valley.
Yeah, she graduates from college in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll do Green Valley next.
Maybe she gets treated. Yeah, I haven't checked out. I'll check out Red Rock and then you check out Green Valley.
Oh, word. And we'll report back.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then what about your local creative recommendation?
Well, what about food?
Oh, you're right. I jumped the gun. Yeah, what about food?
Food this week I got Born and Raised, not Bar. There is a chain called Bar. It's not that. It's literally called Born and Raised.
Okay.
I think they have like 2 locations, but they're a burger bar joint kind of thing. They have sports playing and whatnot, but yeah, they're great.
Nice. I don't have a local food recommendation. It's more of a local establishment that I didn't know about because I don't shoot film, but I shot some disposables a few months ago and I didn't know where to take it. And I got referred by a couple different people, including Sean, to take it to 1 Hour Photo Shack. Is that the name?
Yeah, it's called 1 Hour Photo Shack. And I think they dropped the 1 hour now. No, it does still say 1 Hour Photo Shack.
I think it's just Photo Shack, but the sign says 1 hour on it.
Yeah. But yeah, they're near UNLV. And yeah, the owners are great.
And it's like one of the only spots to get film developed.
It's Vegas, literally the only spot in Vegas to get film developed. Don't do it through Walgreens. It's trash service. Go to Photo Shack near UNLV on...
It's Maryland and Tropicana.
There you go. Beat me to it.
Did you just move here a few years ago?
I owe them.
Then you had a camera with the issue.
Had a camera with an issue, and they pretty much gave me a couple rolls of film, basically for free. They didn't charge me because they knew that the camera was messed up. So that was super cool of them.
Did they help you resolve the issue with the camera, or is it just toast?
No, actually, I think it's this black Minolta here. So actually, it's a shutter problem. So if you try to shoot it on auto, it doesn't open. It stays shut. But if you switch it to B, which is basically manual exposure, long exposure, you can photograph that way. But I really don't want to waste another roll of film trying to shoot manual exposure.
Trying to problem solve. Yeah. Okay. It just turns into bulb mode, basically.
Yeah, bulb mode.
Oh,
so,
okay.
like I said, you that seems to be the workaround because then it does open the shutter. But again, I don't want to be sitting there going, ooh.
Yeah. What about and then we got local artist recommendation.
Ooh, who do you got?
Miss Gina Joy.
Gina Joy Chong.
Yeah, she's moving back here from LA, and she's me and her bounce work back and forth between each other. Super rad person, and it's nice to have like another person that is coming back to town that I could refer to.
Right.
Because I feel like my pool of references for stuff that I'm unavailable for is pretty small.
Yeah.
So it's dope that another person that I could add to that pool is coming back.
Yeah, Gina Choi, her work is awesome. Shoots a lot of music. And I ran into her a few months ago on the record. I was shooting and she was there. And yeah, she had told me that she was living in LA. And so that's cool to have her back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
Local recommendation this week, I got Jasmine Garcia, or Instagram handle Jasmine's Crafty.
Okay.
She shoots similar to last week's recommendation, shoots like editorial. So
okay.
she's art director or creative director. One of the two. Don't kill
Director
me.
of some sort.
Don't kill me for this. But she's art director for Zappos.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, so her editorial work, her lifestyle work, it's simple. It's like not too like wild, but like it's simple with style,
Sick.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Keep it simple, stupid.
keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just love her work. I love
That's
her
cool.
flow.
I actually haven't heard of her. which is
Oh,
rad.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll have to
I'm
show you
excited
her.
to check her out.
Look at
yeah.
that. I already recommended her to one person. So
Yeah.
shout out to Jasmine and Gina Choi.
Yeah. Sick. So that's about it. Do you have anything exciting or fun coming up this week, photo shooting wise, or is it gonna be chill week or what?
This week I have a wedding today at Neon Museum, which is awesome. If you're not familiar, it's the area you've seen on Pinterest with all the old Vegas signs.
Yeah.
It's been pretty tough to get into because I have a lot of clients always wanting to shoot there, but they can never get in, and they'll be emailing me like 3 months out.
Oh, even 3 months out. It's not
Yes.
last minute stuff.
No, so
Oh,
they'll
wow,
email me
okay.
like 3 months, and they're like, "Oh no, no, they don't have any availability."
Yeah.
Because they have general admission to walk through and see the signs, but where they do their weddings and or their photo shoots is in a different gallery. It's a different part of the museum.
And you're only allotted exactly 30 minutes.
Yep.
I think, right?
And they
are
they
strict.
hold you to it. But yeah, so that's fun. I'm excited. I haven't shot at Neon Museum since beginning of 2020.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
I think I've shot there like twice, and it was a long time ago.
And then I think I got a wedding on Sunday. My Thursday client rescheduled. So yeah, just weddings this week. And then Saturday, Ivana is she's running a 5K with a student of hers. One of her students asked to accompany her on a 5K run. So I'm gonna meet him at the finish line for that and give the girl flowers and waters.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run the 5K. That's on them, but
Absolutely not.
which is weird because it's like
It's 3.3 miles.
5,000 kilometers, right? Or meters?
I don't know. I just know it's like
We looked it up the other day. God,
I just know it's a little over 3 miles.
we are artists. We are not smart.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's your week looking like?
This week, I'm actually just this. Obviously, like Thursday through Monday, I'm booked.
Obviously.
Well, I don't mean to sound condescending. I mean, it's just like standard nightlife stuff. It's like kind of, it's Thursday through Monday, I'm usually working nightlife stuff if I don't have a bigger gig booked. So to me, it's pretty standard. And then I gotta go to the DMV tomorrow. And then I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. And then
I pray for you at the DMV.
yeah, I have an appointment, so it's pretty chill.
Should be in and out, right?
Yeah, this month though I have tough fights. I'm shooting. I got some other big commercial shoots with some venues here in town I'm doing. Yeah, just the standard stuff. Nothing. I think and then we have EDC week. So
Yeah.
I feel like 2 weeks prior to it, my phone was just like, "Hey, are you available? Hey, are you available?" It's just last minute stuff, which
Nice.
is rad.
Always good.
Yeah, do you have anything booked for EDC yet?
Nothing yet,
Yeah.
but it might be okay because the following week I'm booked on a production shoot with Made Good again. So that'll take
Dude,
up
so sick.
3.5
Keeping you
days.
busy.
Yeah, that'll take up 3.5 days at Win. And then that weekend, I should be flying out to Texas for that So What festival.
Hell yeah.
So if I'm not slammed for EDC, I think I'll be okay. Obviously, I'd like to do something. Last year, I shot
Yeah.
for Red Bull.
Yeah.
Shout out to Al Powers again. We should just called episode 3 how much we love Al
Powers
Powers.
imagery.
But yeah, so obviously I'd want something involved. If not, totally all good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it. As always, thank you guys so much.
We had mentioned episode 3 we're gonna have somebody on, but we wanted to run through the mics and all
there's
that.
still a few kinks we're working on. I think we're gonna use Sean. Yeah.
Episode 4 we'll have someone on.
Yeah, hopefully. I think we could definitely manage that. Let us know too. Like, I don't know. Ideally, in the start, we're talking about having somebody on every episode, but maybe
maybe not every episode, but more so often than not, because I feel like there's only so much you and I can ramble before people.
Yeah, maybe people love the rambling. So let us know. Let us know.
Let us know in the YouTube comments, the Instagram DMs, or by text if you know us personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down to do whatever. It's all a work in progress. We're literally figuring it out as we go. So,
yeah.
And then let us know too if these mics sound way better.
They should sound sexy.
We were using the lavs before, and these are.
Yeah, we actually got podcast mics and stands.
Yeah.
It may also sound better because our voices are hydrated from liquid death. The acoustics in the vocal cord is. I don't know. I don't know shit about the podcast.
Word. Yeah, that's it. Good job, dude.
We gotta redo that clap. That was trash.
One more. Redo the clap. 3, 2, 1.
There it is.
Woohoo.
See you guys. Boop.